Okay, here it is, my world famous, at least in my world, chocolate cake. Y'all, seriously, this is the best cake. Now, the thing about baking is you do have to do exact measurements, so that's a good thing. So I'll give you the measurements as we go along. First of all, in my handy-dandy little bowl here, I have put in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I use King Arthur flour. Not really sure why, except they say it's the best. I don't know, but it works, so don't fix it, right? Okay, 2 cups of AP flour, 1 teaspoon of salt. See the salt? Oh, maybe that's the salt. No, that's not salt. That's the salt. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, right there, and 2 teaspoons of baking soda, right there, and 3/4 of a cup of cocoa. Well, you can see that, and 2 cups of sugar. So I don't sift, but I do this very slowly. I get everything going to mix it up. You don't want to go too fast because, well, you know, see how it's still white on the side? So I'm letting it get all mixed up. All my dry ingredients mixed up. I'm going to turn it actually, I'm just going to hit it. Hit it. There you go. Now it's getting it down. Let me turn it just a minute. There. Okay. Okay, so that's mixed up enough. Okay, now, for the wet ingredients, we have 1 cup of canola oil and 1 cup of coffee, brewed coffee. Yes, I said coffee. And y'all know I'm all into shortcuts, so this is what I've got. 2 cups. And if you look at it, I poured in 1 cup of the coffee. Okay, I'm trying to get it, but trust me. And then on top of that, I put in a cup of the canola. So I've got it all together. Pouring is very technical. Okay, got that in. Hold on, let me check what I'm supposed to put in next. And the milk. Okay, and 1 cup of milk. 1 cup of milk. Now, it's really important that your milk and eggs that we're going to put in a minute are room temperature. They won't mix as well. So I'm going to mix that up for a little. And don't be afraid, but this is a very, very, very wet batter. Now, once you put in the liquid stuff, you want to beat as little as possible because it stirs up that gluten and you don't want it to... That's when your cake will dry out. I'm getting a spoon here because I'm going to have to knock some of this off. Yeah, so you don't want to mix it too much, but obviously this is still very lumpy. Let me scrape these sides down. I forgot to get out a scraper, so I just used a spoon. And yeah, this will be really easy because it's so liquidy. Okay, come on. Okay, and I guess I'll set this here. Okay, so let's beat it up for a minute. Just beat it. Just beat it. Just beat it. Just beat it. Do I sound like Michael Jackson? Okay, so it looks pretty smooth. Y'all are going to be embarrassed how easy this is. Okay, that looks good. Now, I'm going to lift it up, and I want to add 2 eggs. Plop. Okay, 2 eggs. And watch this. I don't know if I can do this and hold the camera. This is vanilla bean paste. So I've got this obsession with making my own vanilla, and I make my own vanilla bean paste as well. But guess what? You can use regular vanilla. Make sure it's pure. Don't even mess with that imitation junk. It makes all the difference. But see how it's a little more liquid? Yeah, I didn't think this one through because I need this right here. Hold on. Hold on. I'm coming back. Okay. Okay, it's done. So what I did, see that in there? That is, it calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. But if a little bit is good, a lot is more. So I do at least a teaspoon and a half, probably closer to 2 if the truth were known. And we're going to mix this up and get the eggs in there. The coffee, by the way, was at room temperature. And it was actually left over from this morning. I just set aside a cup of it. But can y'all see how liquid that is? See, it's not a thick batter like you're thinking it's going to be. It's just real thin. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my spoon. And I want to show you just how thin the batter is, okay? See how thin? I usually use a scraper, obviously, but I want to make sure the bottom of that, sometimes it gets gooey down there, and get it all scraped out, okay? Now, let me tell you what I'm going to do next. I'm going to bore you with some words here, but this is important. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm clearly not doing this for money because I'm doing a terrible job. But I had to scrape that spoon off because it had some chocolate in it. I do use just plain old Hershey's chocolate in this, the cocoa powder. I've used the expensive stuff. Honestly, I cannot tell the difference. So, here's where the talking comes. Not that I haven't been, but anyway, you're going to pour this into 2 8 or 9-inch pans, cake pans. That's for a layer cake. Make sure you spray it with baking spray because this has the flour in it, and a little flour in it keeps it from sliding when it rises. If it's only oil that you've sprayed in the pan, it'll slide down, so it'll actually rise better. So you can put this in 2 pans. And then what you need to do is to bake it for about 25 minutes. Check it for about 25 minutes in a preheated oven of 325. However, being the rule breaker that I am going to put it in this pan right here. Okay? Get yourself a good pan. Don't get the cheap stuff. It does make a difference. But the reason I'm doing this is honestly, I don't have time to do the layers. This is just going to be easier. My husband has to take this to work tomorrow for a thing they're having. The frosting that I'm going to make for this, you can't put it between the layers because the layers will just slide off. So when I do it, I make like a buttercream for the middle, but when you do this, there's no need for anything in the center. But y'all have to stay tuned for the frosting because that is what's amazing. Another thing that I can tell you about is sometimes I will actually just have the recipe, cut everything in half, good old math, where it says 2 cups of all-purpose flour, I'll put in 1 cup of all-purpose flour, so forth, and just make everything at half, and then I will bake it in 1 layer pan, and when it comes out, I will cut it in half, and then I will put frosting in the middle and frosting all around, and you've got a half of a cake. Or I will put it in a large loaf pan, and that's going to take more like 35 minutes to cook, but we just can't get through a whole cake. So anyway, I'm gonna spray this pan. I'm gonna pour it up, and because it's in this pan, I'm probably going to cook it at about 30 minutes, but I'll set my timer and check it at 25. So hold on, though, because you're going to want this frosting recipe. This is the best. It's a cheater's version of the 7-minute frosting, and oh my gosh, I could just sit down with a bowl of it. But that wouldn't be cool, would it? And even if it was, I could never tell you. Okay, talk to you in a minute. Okay, so I actually timed the cake to see how long it was going to take in a bundt form like this, and it was 40 minutes. But every oven is different, so just keep checking. I set it for 30, and then I, checked it with a toothpick, and it was still really, really wet in the middle. So I put another 10 minutes, and it was perfect. This cake has to be completely cooled for the frosting, because it'll just help melt it. Okay, here we go. Let's walk all the way across my kitchen. Oh, that didn't take long. Okay, here's the frosting. Now, this stuff is amazing. I'm making the full recipe. Probably only need half a recipe. Again, I'm not above cutting stuff in half. So you're going to want to put this on pause in just a second, because I'm going to show you a video of the recipe. Ready, set, go. Wait a minute. There it is, right there. That's not it. Oh, that's not it. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's it. Snow Peak. Right there. Snow Peak frosting. Okay? Take a screenshot. Okay, here we go. Very important that your 2 egg whites are at room temperature. Now, it says a dash of salt. Someone may say, what is a dash? Watch this. I'm going to dash for you. That's a dash. Okay? Now, I'm going to turn this on and let it whip up. Again, it's very important that your utensils are clean. Any grease or oil or leftover from before, these egg whites won't rise, and you've got to get them fluffy. Okay, so we're going to let that get started. Okay, while that's doing all the work, I'm going to walk over to my microwave. Hold on. Where I have 1.25 cups of white corn syrup. I use Cairo, but you know what? I use store brand too. So I'm going to put this on and let it get started. I'm just going to put it on maybe 3 minutes. It's not going to, you can see how it's going around. What you want is some bubbles up at the top. Okay? And it's going to take a minute. So meanwhile, we're going to watch this go. And all you're doing is putting air in it. And that's why this frosting, I like to put it on before I serve it. But it's already 10 o'clock at night. And my husband's leaving at 6 in the morning. So it'll be fine for tomorrow. But after that, it just kind of starts to disintegrate, because it's, there's a lot of air. So you see the bubbles? I'm going to let that go, and we will revisit it in just a second. Okay, see the bubbles coming? Wait, you see how it's bubbling at the top? That's all you need, okay? And that was, let me see how much time that was. That was like 1.5 minutes, okay? We're going to take it out, because you can't do anything with it if you leave it in. Here's the eggs. See how they're getting fluffy? They need to get a little more stiff than this. Let me show you the consistency. Yeah, see, they're not too far from it. There's nothing. They're nice, and actually that might be it. I'm going to let it go, because I do like for this to cool down just a tad. If it's too hot when it goes in, it'll cook the eggs, and that's no fun. You got an egg white omelet instead of frosting. Okay. I think this is it. I think this is it. Yeah, that looks nice. And now, so it's nice and stiff. Okay, here's the fun part. You just have to very slowly, see that? I've got it on 1. I'm going to pour this syrup in. And it's going to make, and just do it slow, because again, I don't want to cook anything in there. But I'm going to do it slowly, slowly, slowly. And it's almost done. Okay. There we go. See it? Okay. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because it'll actually cool it down doing that. And as it cools down, as the the syrup that we just put in there cools down, this will harden up. Meanwhile, look at here. This is what I'm going to scrape with in a minute. Yep. That's me. Okay, I'm going to speed it up. Now, I also put in there 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I just now dumped that in. I'm going to let this go for a minute till it stiffens up a little, okay? Be right back. Okay, so it has spun around some more, and I want you to look at the stiff peak. See it? See how that little piece just kind of curled under there? That tells me that it's stiff, but not too stiff. If you get it too stiff, it gets rubbery. This is the only really tricky part, but if you watch it, it's not tricky at all. Now, if you look here, I've got little pieces of parchment paper underneath the cake. Normally, I'd put this on a stand and turn it, and as I'm turning it, I will frost it, and then I've got a big cake spatula thing that I would take it and move it. But this has got to go to work with him tomorrow. So it's on, one of these things with the big plastic dome. And what I begin to do is, look at that. Look at that. And just do it gently. Don't do it too hard or you'll get pieces of chocolate cake. And then when you get through, just pat it like that so it gets nice little peaks. Look at that. Doesn't it make you want to eat it? And true confession, I took a spoon and took a little bit out and tasted it. And yeah, I wanted some more vanilla because, what is it I say? If a little bit of vanilla is good, a whole lot is a little better. So that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Listen, y'all know me, so get in touch with me if you have any questions. But really, this is a long video, but I just want to show you how easy it really is to make this cake from scratch. And I promise you, you will be the belle of the ball if you bring this to a party or just make it for yourself and get a fork. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Okay, I know I've already said goodbye, but there's a couple things I forgot. Oh my gosh, look at that. Couldn't you just dive into it right now? Whoa. Okay, so I pulled out all the wax paper so the bottom didn't look, all icky. If it does get bad, just a little wet paper towel and wipe it, but it'll do good. Main thing is this little, this little hole in the cake when you've got a bundt cake. So use your imagination. I have done different things. What I'm going to do with this one is cut up strawberries and fill it up. But I'm going to let my husband put it in when he gets to work because, strawberries will give you, the color will start to strain and all. I've also mixed it up with some of this extra frosting that I've got. Then put it in the middle. I've done it with blueberries, and I've taken some Oreo cookies and mixed it up with some of this extra frosting and filled the middle. So that's just kind of a happy little surprise, because if this wasn't enough of a surprise, I don't know what is. This is so good. Okay, anyway, this time I'm really saying goodbye for good. Goodbye for good. Okay, I know I've already said goodbye, But there's a couple things I forgot. Oh my gosh, look at that. Couldn't you just dive into it right now? Whoa. Okay. So, I pulled out all the wax paper so the bottom didn't look, all icky. If it does get bad, just a little wet paper towel and wipe it, but it'll do good. Main thing is this little, this little hole in the cake when you've got a bundt cake. So use your imagination. I have done different things. What I'm going to do with this one is cut up strawberries and fill it up. But I'm going to let my husband put it in when he gets to work because, strawberries will give you, the color will start to strain and all. I've also mixed it up with some of this extra frosting that I've got and put it in the middle. I've done it with blueberries, and I've taken some Oreo cookies and mixed it up with some of this extra frosting and filled the middle. So that's just kind of a happy little surprise, because if this wasn't enough of a surprise, I don't know what is. This is so good. Okay, anyway, this time I'm really saying goodbye for good. Goodbye for good.